obsessed with her own ego and playing the victim.
You've hijacked this name from Queen Elizabeth. The least you can do is respect this woman, respect her institution, respect her name.
Let's get into this. Because Megyn Kelly didn't whisper, didn't hesitate, didn't even blink. She looked dead into the camera and threw out a question that shook the internet like an earthquake. Is Meghan Markle really 44 or is she over 50? Boom. That one line cracked open a rumor that's been bubbling under the surface for years, and the second it hit the air, the internet exploded. And listen, this wasn't your everyday tabloid nonsense. This wasn't just a snarky comment tossed in for clicks. No, this was about receipts, documents, photos, timelines, things that don't line up with Meghan's carefully crafted story. And when you start putting those puzzle pieces side by side, oh honey, the picture shifts into something way murkier than the fairy tale she's been selling. So where do the contradictions start? With a single snapshot. Northwestern University, early 2000s, a salsa club photo. Meghan's standing there smiling, looking like any other student surrounded by classmates. Harmless, right? But wait, fast forward to today. Those very classmates, they're openly listing birthdays in the early 1970s, which makes them 52, 53, even 54 now. Meanwhile, Meghan's official bio still claims she's a sprightly 44. So, if we're buying the palace timeline, that would mean Meghan was a bright-eyed freshman hanging out with a crew nearly a decade older. Possible? Sure. But likely? Not so much. And here's the kicker. This isn't some one-off fluke. The names keep popping up. Alumni records keep tying Meghan again and again to the same older group. And now when those classmates meet at reunions, the age gap between her and them looks awkward. On paper, she's supposed to be a whole generation younger, yet every breadcrumb keeps placing her right there among them. Coincidence? Maybe. But when the same pattern keeps repeating, it gets real hard to dismiss.
Needs us to love her, so she will do whatever it takes, and she doesn't know how to make us love.
Now let's talk official documents, because Meghan's birth date, August 4th, 1981, has been drilled into every royal archive, every glossy magazine spread, every biography out there. It's been repeated so often it feels carved into stone. But here's the whisper trail that refuses to die, 1977. Some even push it further back to 1975. If that's true, Meghan isn't 44, she's 48, maybe even 50. And no, that's not some harmless little fib. That's 4 to 6 years of vanished time, gone, wiped out from the record. And critics argue that every missing year hides more than just a number. It hides whole chapters, relationships, choices, stories that we've never been allowed to see. And let's not forget, this is royalty we're talking about. In that world, every document, every date, every record is supposed to be untouchable. Even the tiniest inconsistency snowballs into scandal. Which brings us to the palace. And oh, buckle up, because Meghan's history already proved royal paperwork isn't as permanent as they'd like us to believe.
If she had any respect for the institution she married into, she'd stop using it like a content.
Flashback to May 2019. Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor's birth certificate gets filed in the UK. Looks routine enough, right? Rachel Megyn, Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Sussex, all neat, all official. But wait a few weeks, and bang, that record gets altered. Meghan's given names, Rachel and Megyn, completely erased. All that's left is Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Sussex. Now the palace spun it as just a little housekeeping, an adjustment to match other royal mothers' documents. But let's be real, insiders called it baffling. Why weeks after the fact? Why not for Kate? Why not for Diana? Why Megyn? The whole move screamed shady. And for critics, this was Exhibit A. If a royal birth certificate could be tweaked so quietly, what about older documents? School rosters, alumni directories, birth years? Suddenly, nothing felt untouchable. And once that unease set in, people started looking harder at Meghan's photo trail. And let me tell you, the whole thing reeks of curation. Most of us have endless candids from high school, awkward prom shots, grainy graduation pics, bad haircuts immortalized forever in yearbooks. But Meghan, oh no, her stream of old photos looks way too polished. Perfect headshots, group photos popping up not on random Facebook posts, but in perfectly timed releases, like in a royal biography or a well-placed interview. Fans on Reddit noticed it. They said it felt less like nostalgia and more like strategy. And once TikTok got involved, forget it. Creators started stitching Megyn Kelly's blunt question over montages of Northwestern snapshots. Side-by-sides went viral. Comment sections filled with amateur detectives pulling out timelines, reunion listings, age gaps that don't add up. It wasn't just gossip anymore. It was content. And the mainstream press followed like clockwork. Gossip blogs ran it first, then celebrity pages, then even respectable outlets started dipping in with careful headlines. Old photos revive Meghan's age debate. Insiders questioned Duchess's birth year. Each headline fed the fire. And slowly, what started as whispers hardened into something much bigger. By the time Samantha Markle revived her defamation case in early 2025, Meghan's age wasn't a throwaway rumor anymore. It was trending front and center. And the reaction? Oh, it was brutal. Supporters dismissed it all as cruel nitpicking, pointing out Hollywood's been shaving off years forever. But critics? They saw it as yet another example of Meghan controlling her own narrative, managing every detail until nothing feels authentic. And casual fans? They're stuck scrolling, seeing photo after photo, and quietly wondering, can all these contradictions really just be coincidence? By the time court dates started circling the calendar, Meghan wasn't just facing Samantha Markle, she was staring down every rumor that's ever haunted her biography. And the whispers about her real age? They kept circling back to that one magic number, 1977. It shows up in alumni chatter, old event programs, even in stories from people who swear they knew her way before she became the Duchess. Some push it further, to 1976 or even 1975. If any of those are true, Meghan isn't 44. She's closing in on 50. That's not shaving a couple of years for a headshot. That's rewriting entire chapters of a life story. And let me tell you, those missing years, they change everything. If Meghan's true birth date was 1977, her late teens wouldn't have fallen in the early 2000s like her official bio claims. They'd land squarely in the mid-1990s. And that one detail shifts the whole domino line. Suddenly, her Northwestern years don't match. Her early acting gigs look misdated. Even her first marriage timeline? Off. It rewrites when she lived where, who she was with, what opportunities she was chasing. 4 years might not sound like much, but in a story as carefully manicured as hers, 4 years is a canyon. Think about the bind she's in. To defend herself against Samantha, she's got to stand rock solid on her own word. But every time she leans into my truth, critics drag out the math. 4 years missing here, 6 blurred there, and suddenly every hearing isn't just about family disputes, it's about whether the Duchess has been honest about something as basic as her own birthday. And oh, the press has been feasting. Tabloids run montages of her most famous speeches about honesty and authenticity, then slap Megyn Kelly's viral question right over them. Mainstream outlets pump out timeline explainers, mapping Northwestern years against older classmates. And of course, late-night comedians had their fun too. One joked, "We found the 8th wonder of the world, Meghan Markle's birth certificate. It changes every time you look at it." Now here's the part Meghan's team hates. The impact on her brand was instant. Public figures live and die by controlling their narrative. But once a crack appears, control slips. And with Meghan, every resurfaced document, every random alumni photo, every recycled headline became another crack. Insiders told the Daily Mail her team was paralyzed, unsure if addressing the rumor would shut it down or blow it up bigger, so they stayed silent. And in that silence, the narrative ran wild. Meanwhile, the fans went to war. Her supporters launched hashtags like #MeghanTruth, swearing the whole obsession was sexist and cruel. Detractors fired back with #MarkleMath, mocking her timeline with memes comparing her to classmates decades older. And for every person saying this is petty, there was another saying, no, this is symbolic. Because if even Meghan's age can't be nailed down, how do you trust the rest of her story? And let's not forget the cultural context here. In Hollywood, shaving off years is practically a tradition. Marilyn Monroe, Sandra Bullock, Jennifer Lopez, all dealt with speculation about their real ages. But in royalty, dates and documents aren't trivia. They're history. Diana's records are set in stone. Kate's details are airtight. The monarchy thrives on permanence. And Meghan's alleged age gap? It makes her look like an anomaly. The Duchess whose life story reads more like a Hollywood script than a royal record. So as the trial dates loom, the scandal isn't Meghan's alone anymore. It's a reflection on the institution. If a Duchess's personal details can bend, what else about the modern monarchy is flexible? It's not just numbers now. It's about trust, image, and whether the crown can survive in an era where internet detectives never stop digging. By early 2025, Meghan's age debate had officially outgrown the gossip blogs. It became a cultural litmus test. Was she the victim of brutal nitpicking, or had she spun her brand too carefully to be trusted? Either way, one thing was clear. The whispers weren't going away, and the shadow was long. Industry insiders admitted the age scandal now hangs over her career prospects as much as her royal baggage. One former studio exec told Variety, "In Hollywood, shaving years is forgivable. But in royalty, records are legacy. Once doubt creeps in, it's corrosive. And that corrosion? We're already seeing it. Netflix deals that once sold authenticity now look suspicious. Public appearances turn into meme fodder, with Twitter threads analyzing how timeless she looks, compliment or accusation depending on who's tweeting. Her defenders argue it's cruel, pointing out how women are punished for aging in ways men never are. They drop names like J.Lo and Halle Berry as proof. But critics fire back. Meghan's case is different. This isn't about beauty, it's about truth, and that's the heart of it. If Meghan's age really is misreported, what does that say about the rest of her story? The arguments rage online. Supporters versus skeptics, each side fueling the visibility Meghan probably family wishes would fade. And the monarchy? They're not walking away clean either, because this controversy shines a flashlight not just on Meghan, but on the palace itself. If Archie's birth certificate could be edited quietly, what else might be tweaked when narrative management demands it? Royal commentators on the BBC even called it a crack in the facade. Suddenly, the monarchy doesn't look unshakable. It looks human and maybe a little vulnerable. And that's where this leaves Meghan Markle today. Not in control of the narrative, but trapped in it. Every old alumni record, every recycled headline, every resurfaced photo keeps dragging the rumor back. Maybe she really is 44, just like her bio claims. Maybe she's older. At this point, the truth almost doesn't matter. What matters is the perception. Because once a story hardens into myth, it becomes part of the permanent trail. And that's the cruel irony. The more carefully her life is polished, the more the world hunts for missing pieces. Every contradiction, every edit, every mystery deepens the curiosity. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about whether Meghan Markle is 44 or 50. It's about how a life becomes a brand, and how even the smallest numbers can drag that brand to the edge of collapse. So here's the million-dollar question. If one tiny contradiction about Meghan Markle can shake the palace, what happens when the next one surfaces? Because trust me, it will. And when it does, you know we'll be here, breaking it all down. Subscribe, stay tuned, and don't blink. Because Meghan Markle's past, it's not done rewriting itself. Not by a long shot.